What's up, beer seekers? You have the whole crew here from BeerSighted, and we had the privilege of going to 603 Brewery in Londonderry, New Hampshire this past week. We all currently have a toasted pumpkin ale that we picked up and we're trying. We went there on site and we talked to our good buddy Parker Wheeler, who was on one of our Industry Insiders video interview series. Go back and check that out if you haven't yet on YouTube. Find us at BeerSighted on YouTube. But so we are going to sit down with him and we are going to go more in depth about this beer. And then later we're going to talk about our experience at the brewery, a few of our favorite beers, and then we'll wrap it up for you. So let's check this out. All right, so we are here with Parker Wheeler of 603 Brewery, and we are going to talk about the toasted pumpkin ale that we are trying right now. So Parker, first of all, thank you for joining us on this video. Of course. Taking the time to do this and taste the beer with us. And so, you know, we'll taste it. We'll go over just kind of like what the flavors are, you know, talk a little bit more about the beer and go a little in depth.
Sounds good.
Cool. Cheers. It's such a good beer, you guys. This is a phenomenal beer. So go ahead. Let's talk a little bit about what goes into making it.
Yeah. So you know, it's not your typical pumpkin beer. Coming in around 8.2%. We always tell people you got to be careful.
Yeah.
When you taste it, it doesn't taste.
It does not taste like 8.2% alcohol.
But what a lot of people taste in this beer, it's the first thing you mentioned to me as well. A vanilla aftertaste.
Yes.
Kind of is what I think it soothes the 8.2% enough, where you really don't taste that all that much. It comes in very calm.
Right.
Goes down easy, but you're still going to get the pumpkin flavors, the cinnamon flavors, but I think it's really that vanilla that hits you at the end that really, really makes it what it is.
Right. So, and like, just kind of talking about, and we did this a little off camera as well, like we talked a little bit more about like what goes into making pumpkin beers and a lot of like what's out there that's popular on the market.
Yeah.
And this is more of like, you know, you can absolutely taste the pumpkin in it, but you're right, it kind of brings in some other flavors that you also get that are kind of seasonal, but like it's just different in a way from like all those like major pumpkin beers that you think of, right?
So you're gonna get actual pumpkins in there, and then you're gonna use cinnamon sticks, and then every time someone talks about this, and I love that was the first thing you mentioned was the vanilla.
Yeah.
And I always come back to that whenever I'm talking about this beer, but when you have actual pumpkin flavor from the actual pumpkins, and then you just hammer it home with the cinnamon, some places like to go the route of nutmeg or right. Somewhere like that. I think that pulls away from that typical thing and really does hit you with more of a sweet flavor at the end that kind of pulls it all together.
Absolutely, yeah. And so this is extremely popular. So how many years have you guys been brewing this?
So I'm not sure exactly the number of years. I know at least from my knowledge it's 4 or 5. But since we've moved from our smaller location at Liberty Drive, this being only our second fall here, we've upped our ante on how much we brew of it every single year, and it seems like it sells out more and more every single time.
Yeah.
The first day we launched this was just last week, and we were astounded by how much we sold right away. So get in as soon as you can if you want to buy cans of it, because that'll be gone before you know it. We should have enough draft to last us quite a ways, but I would still get in here pretty soon to get a taste of it.
Yeah, if you're in Londonderry, New Hampshire, or around, you have to stop in, have to get this, because it is going to go fast. It's so good. But yeah, I mean, the popularity, it just sounds like from our chats, is through the roof. And like, I mean, obviously that's going to be the case with a lot of fall beers. It's a gimmicky flavor, right. You know, and then you guys mentioned on our Industry Insiders video that we did a few months back that like maybe it wasn't so popular among the brewers at first. Like it might have just kind of been like a gimmicky thing that, you know, you guys wanted to jump in and do, but it's kind of stuck around a little bit.
For sure, it's grown in its expectations as well as the amount it sells every single year. So, you know, I feel like, I don't know about our brewers back then or what they think now, but you know, when it comes down to it, a lot of people probably say, oh, another pumpkin beer. But I think with the 8.2% and the way that it kind of hits your mouth and goes down, it's just entirely different than anything you've probably tasted before. So I love the beer. I'm a pretty big pumpkin fan, but I keep coming back to this one no matter what. So I'm just lucky I get to work here and drink a few extra.
Yeah, right. So you get a couple more. Yeah, not first in line. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it proved to be once again this year. We had a line out the door when we started on the day we released it. So it continues to be popular. We'll continue to make it, and everyone keeps drinking it. So.
Well, again, like it's so smooth and not like super that pumpkin flavor gimmicky, not overly crisp. It's more on the malty side. But yeah, it's incredible. Again, like if you're around this brewery, have to pick it up for sure. Parker, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down, talk about it.
I'll have a beer with you anytime.
Once again, cheers. Appreciate it. All right, our big thanks to Parker for joining us, and again to 603 Brewery for having us the other night. That beer hall was phenomenal. But so Tim was actually not on that trip with us, so he is just tasting Toasted Pumpkin for the first time, and so we want to know, Tim, what you think of your first taste of this beer.
Well, after talking to you guys and having gone up there and learning more about it, I was really excited to try it. I think it's just a really authentic pumpkin tasting ale. That's more of a true pumpkin taste as opposed to a dessert type pumpkin taste or a sweet pumpkin. You really you can tell that they use real pumpkins, is what you guys were saying in the recipe, and that they go for a real pumpkin taste as opposed to just trying to go along with any other traditional pumpkin ale that's out there.
I think we'd all agree with that too. It wasn't overly sweet. We absolutely loved it.
It's dangerous too. I think
8.2.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it with Parker that they use real pumpkins. It's more malty than crisp, and the vanilla certainly comes through, especially at the finish of this beer, which is phenomenal. Once again, thank you so much again to 603 for having us. So, Steve, I want to kick it over to you because we had a great time the other night. We spent some time at 603. It was a really cool setup. The atmosphere. I know you're obviously a big fan of the whole ambiance and setup thing. So, what'd you think of the whole visit? What'd you think of the setup? Everything like that.
Yeah, so they did a really good job. Obviously, it's important nowadays. You have to have plenty of space for everybody, social distancing and everything.
Right.
They had more than enough room. We were there on a Wednesday. Was it a Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you were going to have enough room on those sorts of nights. But even for a Wednesday, it was still, the outdoor patio was full. The indoor was almost full. So
yeah, it was.
The place was happening. But I can't imagine what it would be like if it was normal times. I mean, they have a big inside with like a wooden, kind of look to the bar area. And it's just, I mean, it's a pretty standard inside space, but you can really see like the tanks and stuff out back where they brew.
Yeah.
I liked that setup. You could see it in the interview actually. Yeah, that was like the background we had. But the patio out front is fantastic. They got the string lights. I like the string lights.
And the garage doors.
And the garage doors, and they open up, and you got there's like a bar between the patio and the inside, so you kind of have, they like kind of connect the spaces almost in that way.
Right.
I think that's interesting. And on the weekends, they have a really big space out back. I think Parker was saying that we didn't get to see that, but it holds a ton more people. I think he said they hold over 200 is their
I think
max.
that's what he said. Yeah,
and I don't know if that's max right now. I actually didn't ask him if that was max now or in general.
I'm pretty sure it's with the 6-foot restrictions and
it's like
how many tables there.
Right, with everything open, they're at
On a
about
Saturday.
100% capacity,
Right. Yeah.
which like pre-COVID, that's
Massive
insane amount of people.
Yeah.
So now if they open everything back up, then it could just be they could be killing it. I mean, the location too is really cool. I mean, we were talking about that. Yeah, so go ahead. I mean, talk about the location.
Yeah, it's in Londonderry, New Hampshire, which I mean, from the area in general, but I don't know a lot about Londonderry, and it's like this new downtown they're building up. He was saying they're like literally building a new downtown, and it's on Main Street, but there's nothing on Main Street. Yeah, it was so strange to pull up to it. But there's so much land cleared out that there's going to be all sorts of stuff around it. There's already apartment buildings next to it. They're doing a really great job already, and I think they're the more it builds up right there around them, even I think they're gonna keep blowing up. So they're in a good spot.
Yeah. So I mean, if you have a chance to get to 603 Brewery and that beer hall, awesome, great merch section too, which I'm a big fan of.
Got a sweatshirt.
Yeah, you got something. I know you got something too.
Yep.
I mean, you're wearing your 603 hat that you had for years, but yeah, I mean, absolutely get a chance if you have a chance to get to that beer hall. It's phenomenal. So now that we talked about the setup, Nick, I want to throw it over to you because we did mention, this wasn't the only beer that we tried while we were there. Obviously, we have to do our due diligence. So we had a pretty good chance to try a bunch of different beers, and we tried some amazing food. I mean, we had great food. So Nick, I want to send it over to you to tell us a little bit more about the beer that you tried and then some of the food that we got.
Yeah, I think what's surprising is when we go to a brewery, typically the food selection's subpar. I mean, we know that. They're there for their beer. They're not really... We were joking offline that, you get a pretzel. That's usually what a brewery has. But this is a full brewery and restaurant. So they have a full menu. We specifically tried the Korean barbecue nachos, a couple different pizzas, one being buffalo chicken, which I know Bird and I loved, and then the chili pumpkin wings. And it sounds a little weird, and we obviously had to get it because we were drinking the toasted pumpkin ale. But the chili pumpkin wings are not spicy. I wouldn't even call them tangy necessarily.
No,
they just have a nice bite to them, but then that smooth, not overly sweet pumpkin taste finish.
Yeah.
Very, very good wings. Not spicy at all. The Korean barbecue nachos were phenomenal. Covered with meat. They did not.
Yeah.
Did not.
It was good. It wasn't
skimp
like,
on that
yeah,
at
it
all.
wasn't like dry.
They were all...
To go back to the wings, though, I don't like spice at all. I can handle no spice, and I can eat the wings. So there's your gauge.
That's right.
Yeah. Exactly. And the pizza was phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
We did a buffalo chicken and a chicken
the
pesto.
Yeah, chicken pesto.
Chicken pesto was phenomenal. Buffalo chicken was great too, but I really, really loved the chicken pesto pizza.
So awesome food. I mean, not just a place where you can go get beer, but like a place that you can sit down, have a great meal all around, and really, really enjoy the food. But I mean, it is a brewery, so we have to talk about the beer. And again, Toasted Pumpkin is phenomenal. We had a great time tasting that out, and Parker having us up for the release of that was great. But we did try a bunch of other beers. So do you remember your favorite? I know it was a few days ago.
Yeah, my favorite. It's tough. I mean, Toasted Pumpkin was one of my favorites. What I really loved is the variety. So we had a pumpkin ale, which you don't necessarily find everywhere, but it is coming fall. A lot of places have it. We had a couple seltzers and a couple sours, plus a few IPAs, and then you had the ales as well. So there's something for everyone at this brewery,
Pilsner.
And it's all top-notch beer.
They got
and
the
Pilsner.
Czech
And
Yeah, go ahead. I know that was your favorite.
That was my
Mexican
favorite.
lager,
Yeah, it was just a really good, easy to drink Pilsner. I mean, you could have a number of those, sit down and not go crazy, but have a few of them. If you have a few of these, you're a toast. But with the Czech skin, it just was a nice, smooth Pilsner. It went down easy. It wasn't overly carbonated or anything, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
One of my favorites was the orange sour. Do you remember?
Oh, the
what that was
Berliner
called?
Weiss. It was Zest Friends Forever.
Zest Friends
Oh, yeah.
Forever.
Was the name? Was the name? Yeah, it was an orange and apricot Berliner Weiss.
Yes.
Which I had, and that was my favorite too.
Yeah.
That was, aside from the Toasted Pumpkin, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
And that's not usually something that like I gravitate towards as a huge IPA fan. But I mean, that was so good. It was extremely drinkable. It was so smooth, but like I mean, it was
and only 3.8%, so very crushable. I know when people think sours, they think it's going to be tart and kind of tough to drink, but Berliner Weiss is a little smoother. It definitely has that sour taste to it, but it's not puckering. It's a little smoother. 3.8%. You can drink as much as you want, and it's just very, very crisp and flavorful. I loved it.
Yeah. So again, overall, phenomenal experience at 603 Brewery. Again, if you get a chance to head on up to Londonderry, New Hampshire, you have to check it out. It's definitely worth it. Get some food, get some beer. We really appreciate Parker having us up and setting us up with the Toasted Pumpkin and for sitting down with us and chatting with us. And again, thank you to 603 for having us. And we will definitely be back up there because it's amazing. It's certainly worth the trip up. Yeah, I mean, cheers, guys. Thank you so much.
Cheers to that.
603.
603.
Cheers. Cheers, beer seekers.